So we designed one example on the iteration properties, right? So what you are trying, Vishnu, deleting items. You are cleaning up all the empty items, right? So that is not deleting, actually you are doing. You are reassigning an empty array again into it. That's not deleting, right? Reassigning an empty array again into it. So that will not be the right way, right? You have to look for deleting items from an array, not reassign again values. Huh? You try that. Right. Anyone else done that exercise, finished that successfully? At least first one done, everyone? So first one done with the first one? Okay, good, right. And okay, good. Then I will yeah, it's okay. CSS, you can get into that when you are good with CSS, you can do it. That's not a issue. But functionality is achieved or not, that's important, right? Right. And why they will not paste, it will not be an issue, right? So you open in File Explorer and we can paste, right? Yeah, I will upload. Yes, yes. So I will upload the a link for sharing your files. By the end of session, I will do that. You can upload your examples there. Huh? Right, fine. Okay, these are the two tasks I given to you. You try. If you are unable to do, I will post the tips for that. Based on that, you try, right? Again, so you implement them and do, right? So yesterday we discussed about how do we use the iteration attributes, iteration properties and attributes. And in that I showed you how we can use index to identify the specific item. But important is only index is not the option every time. That means to handle any specific item in iteration, currently we need index number of the item. That's the reason we are passing the index number. Every time index number is not the point that we pass. Many times we want the details of that particular item which you use in the logic. So that we need to understand. So how we can use the details of an item instead of index? Without passing index, we can identify that item. Index is to identify its position, but not the position. We want to identify that item. That situation comes. For example, let's create a component for this to practice, right? So let's open in a terminal. I'm adding ng generate component, some likes demo, and skip test. So we are creating a component there. So we are configuring and creating a component here. We are creating a component called likes demo. One simple example we designed here. Okay, let's keep this in the startup. So here we have that in the startup likes demo. Okay. Right. So likes demo. Fine. So this is the component we have. Yeah. So let's start with that. So we have that font awesome likes demo. Okay, that is coming here. And I'm designing a simple screen for this. That means an interaction. That means our intention to understand how we can use the details of that particular item, how we can access and use the details of that particular item. So in an iteration, how to manage it. So let's go to this likes demo TS, and in the likes demo TS, we are adding some logic here. So I will create products. So products is an array. Array have objects. So if we have a product name, so some name. Okay, and we have product photo. Photo is in assets. So JBL speaker .jpg. And here we are having options like likes. Its counter is 0, and we have dislikes. Dislikes, that's also number is 0. Likes and dislikes. And similarly, we have 2-3 objects defined here. So that means we have some other Nike casuals. So some shirt, something like this. Okay. And here we defined some shoe.jpg. And we have shirt.jpg. Likes and dislikes are 0. So we have likes and dislikes 0, comma. Okay. So we are adding those items here. Fine. Now this is a list of products, and I am trying to print the products. So here, so let's design a div. We will put a class as container fluid. Okay, and in this I'm using another div, and here we say heading as some products catalog. Okay, here we have class as card deck. In this, I am designing a div, and this is using a class called card. This card should repeat for every product. Then we are using ng for let item of collection. That means products. We are defining item of products. Okay. Next, here what we are doing is we are designing a div with a class as card header, and here we have a heading where we display item dot name. Okay, and we have another div where we have a class card body, and here we have image. So width is some 200, height is 200. So width and height 200, and source is coming from src is from item dot photo. Okay, and below this, so we are having a footer, and in the footer, so we are defining that is the footer we have, and in the footer we are configuring one more option. Where is the class here? container fluid. Okay. Okay, fine. And here at the footer, we are adding something. So this is not having a div. That is the card, and this is actually card deck. Okay, fine. Now here we are using a class as card footer, and we have button, and this button is having class btn and btn. Suppose we have success, btn success. And for this button, we are defining a span. And here span will have a class called FA, and FA thumbs up. Thumbs up is that option. And here I am configuring so thumbs up and how many likes are there. So here we will put likes count. That means item dot likes. And here I will write here as likes. That is the design for this. And we need one more button. Okay, so this is button, and button have a class as btn and btn danger. And here we have dislikes. So yeah, so we have dislikes. So item dot dislikes, and put a span here. So class as FA and FA thumbs down. Okay, and here we say dislikes. Okay. Now you can see here, so the design will look like this. We have the design. That means we have the products, we have likes and dislikes. And you can see likes and dislikes button. Actually, we just kept this as a button. Usually, these type of options can be defined. So div class as btn group, actually button groups. Okay, btn group. So we configure a button group there. So usually button group will keep the buttons in this way, like a combined buttons, right? Yeah. Now important is when user clicks on this likes and dislikes buttons. So the likes counter should increase, dislikes counter should increase. Here the point is, when you design this, here the point is, so these are having only two buttons are there. These two buttons are working for every product. These two buttons are working for every product. Generally, technically, what issue you will face in this type of environment? Means generally what is the issue we face there? Actually is we have so only two buttons here. But this is being repeated for several. So that means the same is repeated for several. So actually we have only two options. This is repeated for several. Now what happens is this is like button and this is dislike button. And we have two functions. Function 1, this is for like. And function 2, this is for dislike, right? And here what happens is when user clicks the like button, this function 1 will be called. And dislike, this function 2 will be called. Two functions are there. Now this is repeated. Repeated means all these are using same function. When all are using the same function, what is the problem here is technically. So when I click like at one, it will affect this function. and this function is used by all, that means it will affect everywhere. I hope you understood. That means I increase the likes of one picture, other pictures also will increase. Other pictures also will increase because the same function is being used by others. But we need to design this function in such a way that it should work only for that specific item. It should not affect others. It should work only for that specific item. The problem in this type of situation is you click like for one picture, it will add the likes for all of them because the same function is being used for others. To prevent this, so we need to tell the function. That means here, what should happen? Simple, point is very simple actually. So for two functions will be there. So one function, public, one method is likes counter. Likes counter. So another method is dislikes counter. Dislikes counter. So two options are there, likes counter and dislikes counter. Generally likes counter should work when likes button is clicked. And important, what should happen is, this is currently property. There is a property called likes. This likes property is having 0, dislikes is having 0, and this likes and dislikes property we are using here to display the number of likes and dislikes. That is the reason by default they are 0. 0 likes for all of them, 0 dislikes for all of them. Okay. Now what we are doing here is on the button click. On the button click, so we need to call the function on the click. We need to call the function likes counter. But it should work only for that particular item. On click of second button, dislikes counter will come. Now this function should know which item like you have clicked, means which item like you have clicked. Currently, you are in an iteration and item is first one. That means for first element, first item. And you can pass this item. So we can pass this item into the function. We can pass that item into function. That means for which item the buttons are created, that item details are passed into the function. That means that item related name, item related photo, you can see the item related item object is passed into that function. Now what you can do is we can collect that item here. We can collect the item here. So we can collect the item here. It is a formal parameter. And what we can do is here, we can get that items likes value and increment plus plus. That's it. That means the item likes, that means it is working for the current item. It is working for the current item. And the current item related likes will be increased. Likes will be increased. Likes will be increased. And it will affect only for that particular item. It will not affect all. That means the item, particular item, that item details are passed. That item related likes will increment. Similarly, here, so we will collect the item on dislikes. So we will collect the item on dislikes. And here we are using item dot dislikes. So dislikes, item dot dislikes, its counter should increase. So now you can see that means now what happens is for every element. So here the point is why we can't send index number here. So why we can't send index number here? Why we cannot send index number? Because if I send index number, it can show its count, means it's a iteration number. Iteration number is just to identify at which position it is. But we don't want its position. We want its all details. Index will not send all details. Index will send only position. That item related all details we want to send. If item related position we have to send, then we can create LETI is equal to index. It will send the index. But index is just sending the position. That's not enough. We need to send the complete item related details. Then only we can access its likes and dislikes and increment. So that is the reason on button click, on likes counter, we are sending the current item. For that current item, we are using likes and dislikes. You cannot use in here. So ng for is not for if, for iterator. Already we discussed about that. ng for is not for iterator. I think already we discussed about that. So in operator will never work here. You have to use only off operator. So no in operator, right? Yes. So technically, iterator cannot use in here. Iterator is ng for is to iterating all the items from the collection, values from the collection, not its properties. So you cannot use any in operator here, right? It uses an off operator to read all the values. Now, there is no chance of handling this without that. There is another option. Actually, in the latest versions, so they introduced a pipe. We haven't learned about pipe. We will see pipe later. We have a pipe called key value. By using key value pipe, we can send its properties and values. We don't need to divide its properties and values as of now, right? That's the reason. So this is there in the latest version we can use. So in Angular new version, they introduced a key value pipe, which allows you to separate it. Why they introduced that? Because you cannot use any in operator here to read the properties. Only values you can read by using ng for. That is the reason. Now we are sending that item related details, and we are using the items likes and dislikes counter. And once it is ready, you see, I'm clicking this shoe likes for that shoe. Other items likes are not affected. And the other items only one like, so or 2 like for one. Dislikes also it will work only for that particular item. Others dislike will not work. That means it will not affect others. That means the likes and dislikes counter is individual for everyone. It is not, remember, all are using same function only. All are using same function. But that will not affect. All are using same function, but that will not affect. Everywhere. Why it will not affect everywhere? Because so you have passed that item details. It will work only for that particular item. So sending index number is not a solution every time for handling the items in iteration. Sending index number is just to identify its position, but not the information about that item. To send the information about that item, so we have to use all this. Even you use a key value pipe, I told you. Key value pipe will send the property. Property means its index number will come. So that means at which index it is present. Why we need index number? We don't need index number. We need all the details of that particular item at its index number. Then better to send the item there instead of sending its index number, right? That is the basic approach. That means every time index is not a solution. This is one simple example to try, right? So generally, this we use regularly. So this approach we use regularly to handle items in an iteration, especially because same will work everywhere. The same option will work everywhere. So that means when you are dealing with iterations, it will work everywhere. And the same situation comes. That means we need functions, and for that we need to means one button have to use several functions. So or sometimes the same button works for different functions. Then we need all this. So this is one example how we can deal, right? So this is example. So this example I will upload there. So this example we will see. This is for dealing with the items, right? So in this example, so we are defining a component, some likes demo dot component dot ts. Yeah, so in that just this logic for likes demo. Yeah, this is the code for that likes demo, and the likes demo dot component dot html, right? In that html we are designing this. So just we designed a card and a card deck for presentation, right? These are the options. So now this is the example I showed just to make you understand that every time index is not the right option. Okay. Next, another important in the iteration properties. What is the purpose of iteration properties like even, odd? What is the purpose of the iteration properties like first and last? The purpose of that. This is not a real-time YouTube website I designed now. Right? Don't take very seriously about that. Okay. Right. This is just an option to make you understand about how the function is used. Now, don't be very serious into this and think that this should work like YouTube now. YouTube likes and dislikes. Huh? That's just a logical concept I explained. You are very serious about it, and you are talking about YouTube likes and dislikes here, right? So this is not that. This is just a intention to understand that particular logic. Okay, we haven't designed YouTube like likes and dislikes in a network-based application, right? We just understood the point of how we can send the details, right? So of course, so anything we have to implement through the logic if you want, right? So here our main intention, you have to concentrate on the main intention, what is the concept here, right? So that means here it is important how you send the information about that particular item. Is index number okay? You can send index number. Index number can send position, but not index number. I want to send all details, then we follow this approach. Now, next option is in the iteration properties here. Why we need iteration? Iteration, even, odd, first, last occurrence value, last occurrence, last occurrence. Iteration, even, odd, first, last occurrence we need to identify. So why we need this occurrence and why need to identify this? Because based on that also so many options are handled, especially when you are working with styles and effects and designs. Generally, sometimes we want to delete all even items or configure all even items or odd items, or I want to remove only the first one, or I want to remove only the last one because I set a certain limit for the table. I designed a table. In the table, I said that there can be only 10 rows. So if 11th row is added, then the 10th row should be deleted, and the in place of 10th row, the new one should come. Or The first one should be deleted, and in that place, next one should come. That means we need to identify whether an item's its position is at even or odd occurrence, is it first or last occurrence. Based on, because this is very much required, especially when we are using iteration. While working on iteration, so we need to identify its occurrence also to handle based on the occurrence. That is required generally. For example, you see, suppose I am applying some effects. So we have this data. Let's add some table. So this is already a table. I'm adding one more record here into this now. And here likes is some 0, and dislikes is also 0. Options are defined here. Now here important, so we have one more item added into this. So now the point here is below this, I will create a table. So I want to present a table and configure a table below that. Then just a table. Okay. Let's go into this and add another div. Okay. And I will just put it a class as row. And here we will add a table. So in the table, I want to present the data. So class, so I'm not defining any predefined classes, so you can give. So table is a class and table hover is another class. Now we havethead in the tr, we have th. This is the name, and this is the likes. So we have dislikes, and we have some photo. So photo, something like this. And we have the T body, and here the row should repeat. Now, generally, when we are adding the rows dynamically, configuring the rows dynamically, so when we are defining, adding and manipulating the rows dynamically we can add the rows and manage them. I will show you that how we can dynamically add the rows. Here initially, a first option is we are configuring a repeater for this ng for, so let item of collection is products. So products, collection of products. Okay, and here we will keep a cell in that we need first as item name, and in the second cell as so item photo. So this is item photo means I need some source img, and src is equal to, so here we have src directly item dot photo. Okay, and width and another cell we have item likes, item dot likes, and item dislikes, and we have item dislikes, item dot dislikes. Now what happens is in this type of environment here, you can see now this is the general design. You can see this is the table. I have a table below. Now in the table, there are headings, there are rows, so much is there inside the table. Now important is when table is having the rows, I want to apply some effect for the rows, because usually rows later, so we can design in such a way that we can add rows, we can remove rows dynamically, you can manage them. So that is the next part. We will see that right here initially already is just like our shopping cart. So here I want to apply some effect for rows. Then what we are doing is to apply some effect for the rows. So we are applying here. Technically, we are applying like this. So we are defining. So we are defining a class. So we will apply a class. And I am applying some class. Suppose I have BG info. The class BG info. That is the class I applied. That is a CSS class, bootstrap class. We can write our own class and apply the effects also. But I defined this one. So when we define this, and when I apply that, so when I apply here, you can see what happens. So here, technically, when you apply this, so you can see that all the rows will have the same effect. All the rows are having same effect. I will apply some colors, some effects. So suppose I said BG warning. And all rows will have the same effects. All rows will have the same effects. So because you applied only for one row, but this row is repeated, the effects also will repeat. I don't want the effects to repeat. I want effects to apply for even and odd occurrence different. For even one effect, for odd another. We need to apply the effects. Generally, so how we can apply the classes, CSS classes, and configure CSS classes. It is a lengthy point. We will separately discuss in a topic called class binding. So we will learn about class binding in the next level. Then there you will see that how to bind the classes. As of now, so what is the problem you have seen here? If an item is dynamically repeating, same effects are repeated everywhere. But see, generally, if you have seen MS Word or PowerPoint or some tools where you are generating a table, if you have seen that a table is generated somewhere, suppose we are generating a table. So that means insert, in insert, I am inserting a table here and I'm selecting the rows and columns. You can see here, interestingly, the first row effect is different. The first one effect is different. Others effects are different. And you can see the colors for even color, for odd occurrence, one color, for even occurrence, another color. It is showing different colors. So that means actually this properties, iteration have properties. That means iteration has properties called even, odd, first, last. These properties will return Boolean true or false. Boolean true or false means they will define whether it is first occurrence. If it is first occurrence, true. If it is not first occurrence, false. It will keep that. You can try. You can see that. Suppose just temporarily to make you understand about those properties. See, I'm saying first. I'm saying last. I'm saying even. I'm saying odd. Like this I written. First, last, even, odd. Okay. That means here I will declare some properties. Let f is equal to first. Let L is equal to last. You can give any name, variable name. Properties are first, last. Let, so E is equal to even. And let O is equal to odd. Okay. These values I want to display here in the cells. So first value is in F. Okay. So last value is in L. And even value is in E. And odd value is in O. And you can see that here it is applying those effects. Temporarily, I will remove this BG warning and you can see their values, what actually it returns. You can see the values. So for the first element, you can observe carefully for the first element actually. See, this is JBL speaker. This is the first element. Then first is true. Last is false. Even is true. Why even is true? Because its index number is 0. It's not 1, right? Its index number is 0. That means even occurrence is true. Is it odd occurrence? False. Similarly, others are not first and last items, all are false. And this is not even. This is an odd occurrence. And next one is even and not an odd occurrence. And this one is the last item. That's why it is true. And odd is true. This is the basic Boolean values. These are the basic Boolean values actually they return. That is not our main intention. Our main intention is for even occurrence, I want one effect. For odd occurrence, I want another effect. I need to give effects based on event and odd occurrences. So we want to apply effects based on event and odd occurrences. Then generally, how we can configure that? So how we can define the effects for even and odd occurrence? So then what we can do is, so generally we can apply some effects. Effects, how to define? So CSS, you can give any CSS effects. We can configure any CSS effects. So technically what I will do is, I will go into the CSS of this. So go here and into the CSS, write some styles. Suppose I given odd, dot odd, that is a class name. For odd, I will put a background color. Background color, some tomato. Okay. And color is white. Fine. That is the odd colors. Okay. For dot even, for even, I will put a background color. Background color, some some teal. Okay. And color. So color as white. White. I'm defining it this way. So these are the two classes. Now, how we can apply these classes? Generally, how we can apply these classes and how we can define those options. Generally, if you want to apply these classes, configure and apply these classes, what we do is usually we can go to the style in the HTML. For the row, we can use class. For the class, we can apply. For the class, we can configure and apply. But important is generally, we want different options to work for this. If I give here, I can give only one class. That means suppose even is a class or odd is a class. Odd is a class. I'm applying that class. Then everywhere that class will be applied here. You can see for all of them that class will be applied. Suppose I given even, I given even here, even. So for all of them, it will get even class. That means for all of them, even class is applied. Even class is applied. That's how it is defining. And I am using table hover effect. That means when mouse is over any element, it changes the color. That is because of this class we have for table called table hover. That is due to that. Now, only one I can apply here. So, and it is affecting everywhere. Then what we do is, generally, when you want to define the class, so we can define dynamically square brace. We have class, okay, class. Which class name? You have to define the class name. Class name is dot class name. Class name is even. That means this class attribute can access any CSS class by using dot that class name. Okay. And this syntax is expecting a Boolean value. Do you want or not? Similarly, we have another class. This is odd. Do you want to apply that odd class or not? Suppose I will say true, true. That means even class is true, odd class is false. Odd class is false. What happens is the even class is applied everywhere. Suppose I will change this even class to false, even class to false, odd class to true, to true. That means odd class will be applied everywhere. You can see odd class is applied everywhere. Now important is this true false should be changing according to their occurrence. That means you see there is even E. E is collecting a Boolean value from even property, whether it is even or not. And O is collecting whether it is odd or not, true or false it is collecting. That means now E and O having Boolean true false. If it is even occurrence, then even will be true. If it is odd occurrence, odd will be true. Then what I will do here, instead of passing true false, get value from E. Even will get value from E. Odd will get value from O. That means if that row is at even occurrence, then it will return true. E will return true. Then for even rows, this effect will be applied. If it is at odd occurrence, odd rows, the effect will be applied. That means you can see now for even and odd occurrences, so it can change the effects now. And you can see wherever the even occurrence is there, one color. Wherever the odd occurrence is there, another color. That means it can put alternate colors for even and odd occurrences. So even occurrence, one effect. Odd occurrence, another effect. Alternative colors will come. Suppose you are adding an item or removing an item, automatically colors will update. When you are adding rows, removing rows, the color will be updated automatically according to its occurrence. That means why you have used this even and odd now. The purpose of even and odd. What is the main purpose of even and odd? The main purpose of even and odd is to identify, specifically is to identify whether it is an even occurrence or odd occurrence. They return Boolean value. Then many times question will come, why do I need to know about whether it is even or odd, right? Why do I need its occurrence also, right? That is required in many occasions, especially while you are dealing with effects, when you are configuring the effects and defining the effects, right? So why can't you try by yourself? If both are true, what do you think what will happen? Kundan Kumar, why you ask every question to me only? Huh? What do you think what will happen? According to your programming knowledge, tell me what will happen if I set both true? If both true, according to your point, what will assign? Have you ever tried effects overlapping for both of them? CSS will not have any ambiguous issues. No problem in CSS. You can apply them. CSS HTML properties will not have anything, right? Generally, the basic thing, if you defined true, that means you are saying even is true, right? Even is true. And you defined odd also true. That means what you are doing, so you are defining even and odd effects. And very important here is the basic point is generally when you are using HTML, CSS like properties, it will not affect to the last one. It will affect the first one. I hope you know that. Suppose you know in HTML, you set autofocus, you set checked properties, you know them, autofocus, checked properties like things. Same you apply for several things in HTML. Anybody who knows HTML, he knows that in HTML and everywhere, generally the first item will be applied with the effect. The second item will not be applied with the effect. Right? That is the basic thing. In HTML based environment, when you are working, that is the option. And depending on elements also. That means, for example, suppose you have text box. You know HTML, right? In HTML, if you know, suppose you have a text box. So we have text box, input type is equal to text. And we have focus, focus, autofocus. And if I have another text box, input type is equal to text. I said this also autofocus. That means I said that both should get focus. Obviously, both will not get focus. Then first one will get focus and it will stop. That is the basic rule of general HTML, right? So this is presentation. This is not logic. According to your programming skills, the last one will override. But this is just presentation. Classes and styles and all these are presentations. So it will apply the first one, right? I hope you are clear with that. Yeah? That is a general HTML thing. And in HTML, wherever you apply, the same type of approach will follow, right? Yeah. Right. That's the reason you need to be good in general basic HTML, CSS thing to answer all this. Okay, let's keep this E even and this as O odd. Okay, right. So our intention is to identify the occurrences, and based on the occurrences, we need to keep the effects. And that is done by using this even and odd, right? That is one example for even and odd. So the same example, just only one additional thing we have done is, so in iteration demo.component.ts, we added just this data, only this data I am giving. That means this is the data, just the data I'm giving. Okay. And rest of the logic. That means rest of component. Every time, no need to give that. Iteration demo.component.html. In HTML, usually we define this one. This table I am giving as a presentation, the row. That's enough. Here our intention is to identify the occurrence, whether it is first, last, or whether it is even, odd, and based on that, configure the values, right? So we can apply effects. I will show you few more examples where we can dynamically add rows and remove rows. Already in shopping cart, we done that. Manually, you can add or delete the rows dynamically, we can do. We will discuss about class binding. When we learn about class binding, some more examples, you can see how we can apply the effects. So why we need even, odd, first, last occurrences? That is one simple example to identify its occurrence and based on that apply the effects. Yeah. Next, one more important iteration property we have is iteration is having a track by. So iteration is having track by. For this, we need to take a different example and try. Track by is used to handle asynchronous approach for iterations when dynamically adding. For that, I need to give another example to you. So one more example we will design. In that, we will see why we need track by and how it will help the track by iterations. For that, we need to learn adding items, removing items dynamically into iteration. Currently, we are accessing the items and displaying through iteration. We should able to add items into iterating and remove items from the iteration dynamically. Then we can see how this track by is helpful in that situation, right? That we'll see in next session, right? On Monday, we will see that. So Monday, we will have to design one more big example for this so that we can get a clarity on what is this track by and how it works, right? Yeah. So then we can continue with other options on